New set, who dis? That's right, I've changed the place in my apartment where I film again because I have commitment issues. Ladies, gentlemen, I'm single. This week, the sound is going to be awful because we got new mics and I couldn't figure out how to make them work. I'm sorry. Next week, I promise we'll be back to the same mediocre production value that you're used to. For now, enjoy me sounding like I'm in a tin can. We have a lot to talk about this week. First of all, the Wonder Twins are kind of cool. Also, more mutants because I can't stay away. And the third time I've given a Carol Danvers story a try, and this time I actually liked it. And in Portland Comics this week, we have to talk about Sketchy People. You probably already know what I'm talking about, but I'm new and I didn't know. So without further ado, let's talk comics. Now, my experience with the Wonder Twins has mostly been a parody. I used to watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast when I should have been sleeping as a child, and they were always turning into something dumb like a pail of water and a mop. I mean, that's not too far off base. Their powers are kind of useless. I would be a little mad if I was a powered alien and all I could do was get really randy when there are lightning storms and turn into some form of water. He goes to the sewer at one point. That's not the superpower that I want. You got telepaths walking around, Wanda Maximoff can just like change the universe if she wants. You got fast people, and you got weird elf twins who could turn into water. And animals. Womp womp. But this comic was actually really fun. I wasn't sure what to expect going into it because I think these characters are kind of silly. But it was pretty self-aware in that way, and it wasn't trying to take itself too seriously. It was pretty lighthearted, and kind of in the end they ended up bumbling into a solution that nobody else seemed to be able to manage. You have, you know, like the Justice League faced with this problem, and you know, the Wonder Twins are like, yell it down and just kind of fix it. So I thought that was really funny too. So if you're into lighthearted, if you're looking for something lighthearted, and I think that they'll probably solve most of their problems that way by sort of bumbling into them. And it's also got some, you know, like trying to fit in. Like they're from an alien planet and they're here in high school, so I think that there's going to be some of those like high school growing pains, which is just a lot and bringing back some traumatic memories. So this was a good comic. Will I continue reading it? I don't know, but it was silly and fun and I really appreciated that. So, and last week we read Age of X-Men, and I just sat there and complained about the weird facial hair patterns on Colossus and Nate Summers and also Magneto, and I don't regret it. One of the offshoots of that comic, if you remember, sort of it set up many different sort of offshoots from that comic, the same way that Neil Gaiman's Sandman Universe #1 did at the end of last year. We have an offshoot of Age of X-Men, and it is Age of X-Men Next Gen. Now, one of my favorite comic series to read, and I'm not saying that it's one of the best ever, but I just personally really enjoy it, is X-Men Academy. So I'm very happy to read about some young X-Men who are in school doing school stuff, except they're really mean to Glob. The whole time they're just being really mean to Glob, and it makes me feel bad. You guys need to be nice. Y'all are weird. How are you going to be mean to somebody who's weird when you are also weird? You guys are all mutants. You're all on the fringes of society. Get it together. Anyway, it was really good. It's about what you expect, I think, in terms of sort of the content of character. You see some familiar characters like Anole and Glob and Shark Girl and Roxy, and you know, so that's really cool. But like in the end of Age of X-Men, you get a glimpse that something is going on. The society that they live in, even though it's supposed to be sort of perfect, there's no, you know, sexual reproduction, everybody works for the greater good, and it sort of seems like this weird, like, utopia. Of course, we know utopias don't work at Soylent Green. Anyway, in this comic, some of the students are aware of what's going on, and they're being mind-wiped like the X-Men were in the previous comic. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see what these young mutants do. I always really like stories about young mutants who come up and sort of save the day. And this might be where this is headed. I'm not sure. This is issue 1 and it was good and the art was lovely. And I like young mutants. I think they're cute. So I'm going to keep reading this comic, but I am definitely biased. I just thought I would let you know that I'm, again, trash for mutants. Okay, look. I said it before, but Carol Danvers and I have some beef. She was one time really mean to a character I like a lot, and so ever since then, listen. I've read 2 of the previous titles that have come out about Captain Marvel this year, and The first one, Life of Captain Marvel, I liked, and the second one, it was okay. And this one, I liked quite a bit, actually. I think it addressed a lot of the sex-based stereotypes that you think of when you think of like a strong woman who was in the military and is now like a super strong superhero. She has some witty banter with Cap, and I thought that was really interesting too. And I thought it did a good job of humanizing her. So the thing that I find most irritating about Captain Marvel sometimes is that she sort of seems just like all bravado. And it's kind of like almost an overcorrection of a woman who's in a job that is male dominated, and it feels forced. And so sometimes I find that to be like a little bit, you know, irritating. Like, I'm a woman in a male dominated industry, and so I understand how it can be, and like the temptation to be sort of bullheaded because you feel like you have to. And so reading that to me is a little exhausting. She was very approachable in this comic and also very kick butt. So that's not to say I'm not excited to see this movie. I am super excited to see this movie, and it sort of leads me into my first pop culture conversation of the day. That is that Captain Marvel hasn't even come out and dudes are crying about it on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, you can go on Rotten Tomatoes for any movie before a movie comes out and sort of, you know, do you want to see it or don't you want to see it? And the reason why these dudes on Rotten Tomatoes say they don't want to see it is because one time Brie Larson in a Marie Claire interview said she wanted her press days for this movie to be more inclusive. She said that when she was looking around at press days, she saw that it was predominantly white and male. And so she had a professor do a study, and it turns out that a lot of movie reviews are white and male. So she said she would like it to be more inclusive. For some reason, some babies feel like that means that it's an attack on white men. I would like to let you know that a white woman cannot be racist against a white man. First of all, they both exist in the same power sphere. White people all exist in the same power sphere. Additionally, she can't be sexist against them because sexism, like racism, stems from oppression, and as men are the dominant sex in society, women can't be sexist against them. That's just not how it works. If you'd like to look up the definitions of racism and sexism, I invite you to do so. Now, I'm so annoyed because this movie is really, really important. There have only been 2 movies out of 25 movies that have come out in the past 10 years, that's DC and Marvel combined, that have a solely female protagonist. Now, that's not to say Natasha Romanoff isn't amazing, that Wanda Maximoff isn't amazing. You know, they were in the movies as well, but this is a solely female protagonist, and that is so important. It's so important for females to be represented. Now, it's worth noting that I don't think that all superhero movies are super inclusive. There are still race and gender identity issues, of course. But little girls deserve to go to the movie theater and see women being awesome. I think it's amazing, and I think it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't understand the impact of that how important it really is. So stop crying on Rotten Tomatoes. If you don't want to see the movie, that's fine, but you need to get your priorities in order. Anyway, moving on. I love this comic. This comic is called Sketchy People. This one's year 1 that I looked at, but year 3 just became available to order online according to Jack Kent's Instagram, and that means you can also buy year 2. But what it is, it's just so smart. I love it so much. He goes around and he sketches people he sees in Portland, and the cover says, "You could be next." And he just, I mean, it's just darling. First of all, his art style is really cool. And second of all, he just writes in there like where he sees them, at what time he saw them, and it's a sketch with no context. It's people of New York, except it's drawn, and I think that's so cool. It's such an awesome, you know, social experiment. You know, they say keep Portland weird, and like Portland's like a weird place, and it's full of characters and interesting people, and that's what makes it so cool. And this is really just a snapshot of how awesome this place is, and I think it's amazing, and I'm gonna leave it on my coffee table so anybody who comes over can look at it and have a laugh, because it's so cool. So you should check it out. There are 3 of them now, and you can order number 3 on the internet. I will put the link somewhere around here. But check it out. Jack Kent, he lives here in Portland, and he makes art about Portland, and that is awesome. So you can pick this comic up and all the other ones that I read at Floating World Comics, where I get all of my comics, because they are so nice and they are so helpful. They're located at 400 Northwest Cooch Street. Swing by, tell them I said hello, and browse other comics. They have cool stuff like this, Portland stuff, indie stuff, and they have all your superhero comics that you could hope for. They have back issues, they have all sorts of stuff, and it's a really cool place. I can't say enough about it. So I took down my camera, but it doesn't matter because I don't have a mic this week anyway, so I'm just gonna shoot this on my phone. So the highlight of my week this week was meeting a llama named Caesar, the no drama llama. He was amazing. He smelled amazing. I got to hug him. It was truly an incredible experience. But I bring this up because I was talking to Larry McCool, that's Caesar's handler, and he was like, yeah, you do comic stuff, that's cool. I'm gonna be on the cover of this comic, this guy who draws people around Portland. And I was like, that's super weird. Is it Jack Kent? Because I'm about to review his comic this week. And he's like, why, yes it is. And so you can pick up year 3, Sketchy People year 3. It is now available to order online, like I said. And you can see Caesar, the no drama llama, on the cover, and Larry McCool. And you can meet Caesar. I'll put some information in the description of this video. He'll come to your event if it's tied to a charity, which is so cool. He's gonna be at Pride. And you can visit him at the farm where he lives. And I would 10 out of 10 suggest it because hugging a llama just made my life so much better. So yeah, weird, small world. We got derailed a little bit by the Captain Marvel conversation, but honestly, I was just so heated about it, I had to get it off my chest. But in other nerd news, Gwyneth Paltrow has said that she will no longer be playing Pepper Potts, not because she doesn't want to, but it seems like Pepper Potts' story has exhausted itself after Endgame. And the whole nerd community had one big collective shrug, because I think, in my opinion, and I think the internet mostly agrees, that Pepper Potts in the movie was just okay. I love Gwyneth Paltrow, I aspire to be Goop levels of aesthetic one day, but you know, she was okay. She's very, very cool in the comics, but you know, like most female characters, she was watered down and just mostly used as a love interest for Iron Man, except in that one movie when they tried to give her superpowers, but then she went back to normal. But I think it's the first step in seeing some of our favorite superheroes from the last 10 years of the MCU kind of doing other things. And it makes me a little sad because of course I've grown up with these movies, and you know, I've seen them all, and it's just kind of sad. I'm nervous for what it means for the future, and excited too, of course. Now, on to other things. There are all sorts of sanctioned sports around the world, things that I don't understand because I didn't get this body by playing sports. But now, in France, lightsaber dueling is officially recognized as a sport, and it is so cool. I'm gonna try and show you some footage right here. Lightsaber duel. I feel like I would definitely get like lightsaber poked in the eye, but it seems worth it because that is really cool. And notice how it's not hilly, so you can't get that high ground. The Twilight Zone is coming back with Jordan Peele, and it dropped its first trailer, and I am so excited. I remember watching The Twilight Zone with my grandpa when I was a little kid, and it scared the bejesus out of me. I remember one episode in particular about an earwig that could go into your ear and then into your brain and like control you, and I had nightmares about that a lot. I seriously still sometimes as an adult have nightmares about that. So can't wait to be further traumatized with the new Twilight Zone. What do you think? Are you excited? Do you have some reservations about how they're gonna portray these sci-fi stories now in the future? I'm really excited because, you know, the show back then was kind of creepy, and think about all the ways that technology has advanced since that show last aired. And so I think that that's pretty exciting in and of itself and could make for some very creepy sort of urban legends. I think the thing about the Twilight Zone is that it created these sort of televised urban legends, and so I'm really excited to see what goes on. And Jordan Peele is amazing. Like, everything that comes out of his brain has been so cool, and so I have no doubts that this is gonna be very cool, and I can't wait to watch it. So that's it for me. Oh, I almost forgot. We have a new section on our website for comic stuff. It's kgw.com/comics. So if you're looking for comic content, or for some reason more of my face, I'm really sorry about that, there's a lot of it there. And so you should check it out, kgw.com/comics. And while you're there, you can look at the rest of kgw.com. KGW Investigates with Tonight with Cassidy. All sorts of stuff is on there. And so, you know, I'm also a newsie, so if you didn't know. And that's all I have for you this week. If you could like this video and subscribe to this channel, I'd be really appreciative. I'm trying to grow this channel so I can talk about more nerd news and comic stuff with you here in Portland. It has been a joy, and I would love for more people to chat with me and tell me about what they're reading and what I should be reading and what they like and what they don't like. And that's the joy of comics, is being antisocial while you read them and then talking to other nerds about it. So I'll see you next week, same-ish time, same place, better audio, I promise. And this has been KGW's Comic Pick of the Week. Hello? Do you care? Hello? Oh, good boob. Okay, that's a lot. Oh my god. Oh god.